A man was told he was going to die, not by a doctor, not by a surgeon, not by a hospital, by a prophet of God. The verdict was final. There was no second opinion. There was no treatment plan. There was nothing left to do. And then, something happened. Something that changed everything. But here is the part that most people completely miss. The miracle did not come from the sky. It came from a kitchen. Around 700 years before Jesus was born, there was a king in Jerusalem. His name was Hezekiah, and he was different from most kings. Most kings in the Old Testament led their people away from God. They built pagan altars. They worshipped false gods. They made deals with enemies. But Hezekiah did the opposite. He tore down the pagan altars. He restored the temple. He brought his people back to God. The Bible actually calls him righteous, one of the very few kings to receive that title. And then, at the highest point of his reign, he got sick. Not a small sickness, not a fever that would pass. The Bible says he was sick unto death. The Hebrew word used for his condition is shekin, a boil, but not a small one, not something you put cream on and forget about. Medical historians and researchers at Ben Gurion University in Israel have studied this condition closely. They believe what Hezekiah had was a form of cutaneous anthrax, a deadly bacterial skin infection. In the modern world, cutaneous anthrax kills about 1 in 5 people, even with antibiotics. In the ancient world, without hospitals, without medicine, without anything we rely on today, it was a death sentence. And then God sent the prophet Isaiah. Isaiah walked into that palace. He looked at the king, and he said words that no one ever wants to hear. Set your house in order. You are going to die. You will not recover. Not a warning, not a maybe. That was a verdict. Now most people, when they hear news like that, they break down. They give up. They accept it. But Hezekiah did something different. He turned his face to the wall, and he wept, and he prayed. Not a formal prayer, not a rehearsed prayer, not the kind of prayer you say in public so people can hear you. This was a raw prayer, a desperate prayer, a broken prayer. He said, Lord, remember how I have walked before you faithfully, with my whole heart. That was it. No long list of requests, no complicated words, just a man, a wall, and tears. And before Isaiah had even left the palace courtyard, God spoke to him again. And this time, the message was completely different. Go back, tell Hezekiah I have heard his prayer. I have seen his tears. I will heal him. On the 3rd day he will go up to the temple, and I will add 15 years to his life. 15 years. God reversed a death sentence. But here is where the story gets really interesting. Here is the part that most people skip right over. God did not just snap his fingers and heal the king. He gave Isaiah a recipe. 2 Kings chapter 20 verse 7. It is just one sentence long. Then Isaiah said, Take a lump of figs. And they took and laid it on the boil, and he recovered. That is it. Not medicine from Egypt. Not a potion from Babylon. Not a ritual from a pagan priest. Figs, pressed, dried figs, shaped into a cake, mashed into a paste, laid directly on the infected wound, and the king recovered. Now I want you to stop here with me for a moment, because this is where most people either skip past the verse or dismiss it as a simple folk remedy, something old, something primitive, something we have moved beyond. But it is not primitive. Think about this. The same God who parted the Red Sea, the same God who rained fire on Sodom, the same God who stopped the sun in the sky for Joshua, chose to heal his righteous king through a fig cake. He did not need the figs. He could have healed Hezekiah with a single word, but he chose to work through something he had already created, something that was sitting in a kitchen, something growing on a tree in the courtyard, something that had been there the whole time. And that should make you look very carefully at what is inside a fig. The ancient world already knew figs were special. The Egyptians used them in medicine. The Greeks fed them to their Olympic athletes because they believed figs increased strength and speed. Spartan warriors ate figs before battle. The Roman historian, Pliny the Elder, documented 29 different varieties of figs and recorded their use in healing wounds. Figs were so valuable in ancient Athens that there was actually a law against exporting the best ones. And the people who reported illegal fig exports? They were called sycophantes. That is where the English word sycophant comes from, a word that started with figs. But here is what modern science has found. When researchers actually studied figs under laboratory conditions, they discovered something remarkable. Figs contain powerful anti-inflammatory compounds. They are rich in flavonoids and polyphenols, natural chemicals that reduce swelling, fight infection, and speed up tissue repair. When you mash dried figs into a paste and apply them to a wound, they create a moist, enzyme-rich environment that draws out infection and promotes healing. Physicians in the ancient world used fig paste on boils, abscesses, and open sores. Modern herbalists still do. And then a peer-reviewed study published in the Annals of Pharmacotherapy examined the exact biblical account of Hezekiah's healing. Their conclusion? Figs contain compounds with genuine antimicrobial properties, effective enough that the researchers recommended the National Institutes of Health investigate fig-derived compounds for treating cutaneous anthrax. Let me say that again so it lands properly. A modern medical journal looked at a verse written nearly 3,000 years ago and said, "This might actually work against anthrax." That is not a coincidence. That is not luck. That is design. Here is something else most people do not notice. In the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 8, verse 8, God describes the promised land, the land he specifically chose for his people, and he lists 7 foods, not 50. Not 100. 7. A land of wheat and barley, vines and fig trees, pomegranates, olive oil, and honey. 7 foods. God chose the fig for the short list. He planted it in the land of promise. He put healing into the earth before his people ever arrived. And then, hundreds of years later, when his faithful king was dying, he prescribed it as the cure. That is not a coincidence. That is a pattern. Before we get to the recipe, and I am going to show you exactly how to make this bread step by step, I want to ask you something. If you are watching this right now and you find these biblical stories valuable, stories that most people never hear, hit subscribe, because we tell these stories every week, the stories that most people skip over, the verses that most sermons never reach. Subscribe now so you do not miss the next one. Now let us make this bread. This is the biblical fig bread, the 2 Kings 20:7 recipe. This is as close to the original as you can get adapted so you can make it in your own kitchen today. Here is what you need. Dried figs, 2 cups. Look for soft, dark figs. Mission figs or Turkish figs work perfectly. Remove the hard little stems, then chop them roughly. You do not need to be precise, just 3 or 4 pieces each. Medjool dates, 1 cup. Pitted, medjool dates are the closest to what grew in ancient Israel. Chop them the same way. Rough pieces. Add the figs and dates to a bowl. Pour half a cup of warm water over them, not boiling, just warm. Let them sit for 10 minutes. This softens the fruit and begins to release the natural sugars. After 10 minutes, take a fork and mash everything into a thick, sticky paste. Some chunks are good. Some texture is good. That is how it was done in the ancient world by hand, with feel, not with machines. Flour, 1½ cups. Whole wheat flour works well, but for the most historically accurate version, use ½ a cup of barley flour and 1 cup of whole wheat. Barley was the grain of common people in ancient Israel. It is what the poor ate. It is what soldiers carried. It was everywhere. Extra virgin olive oil, 1/4 cup. Not vegetable oil, not canola oil, olive oil. This is the oil of the Bible. It was in everything they made. It adds richness and warmth that no other oil can match. Honey, 2 tablespoons. Real honey, raw if you can find it, or even more historically accurate, date syrup. The word honey in the Bible often referred to date syrup, not bee honey. Either one works beautifully here. 2 eggs lightly beaten, 1 teaspoon cinnamon, one of the most prized spices in the ancient Near East. It is mentioned in the Bible as a sacred ingredient alongside myrrh. 1/4 teaspoon ground cloves, just a whisper, enough for depth. 1/4 teaspoon sea salt, and finally, optional but beautiful, a handful of sesame seeds to press into the top before baking. Sesame was one of the oldest cultivated crops in the ancient world. It adds a gentle crunch and a nutty warmth that ties everything together. If you want to go even deeper, add a 1/4 cup of roughly chopped almonds. Almonds are mentioned in Genesis 43:11 as one of the best products of the land. Jacob sent them as a gift to Egypt. They belong in this bread. Now here is how you put it all together. Step 1. Prepare your pan. Heat your oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit, that is 175 Celsius. Take a standard loaf pan. Rub the inside with a thin layer of olive oil, then dust it lightly with flour. This keeps the bread from sticking. Step 2. Mix the dry ingredients. In a large bowl, combine your flour, cinnamon, cloves, and salt. Stir with a spoon until they are evenly mixed. Step 3. Mix the wet ingredients. In a separate bowl, combine your mashed fig and date paste with the olive oil, honey, and beaten eggs. Stir everything together until it becomes a thick, dark, fragrant mixture. It will smell incredible, like something ancient, like something that has been made in kitchens for thousands of years. Step 4. Combine. Pour the wet mixture into the dry mixture. Stir gently. Do not overmix. Just fold everything together until the flour disappears and you have a thick, heavy batter. If you are adding almonds, fold them in now. Step 5. Bake. Pour the batter into your prepared loaf pan. Spread it evenly with the back of a spoon. If you are using sesame seeds, press them gently into the top of the batter. Then drizzle a thin line of honey across the surface. This is what gives it that beautiful golden glaze when it bakes. Place it in the oven. Bake for 45 to 50 minutes. You will know it is done when the top is firm and dark golden brown, and a toothpick inserted in the center comes out clean. Take it out. Let it cool in the pan for 10 minutes. Then turn it out onto a wire rack and let it cool completely. When you slice into this bread, you will understand immediately why it has survived for millennia. It is dense, it is moist, it is deeply sweet, but not from sugar. From the figs and the dates and the honey, doing exactly what God designed them to do. Every bite has texture. The chew of the dried fruit, the crunch of the sesame seeds, the warmth of the cinnamon, the richness of the olive oil. It does not taste like modern bread. It tastes older than that. It tastes like something that was meant to sustain you, to nourish you, to heal you. Serve it warm or at room temperature. You can eat it plain, it needs nothing else. Or do what they did in the ancient world, drizzle a little more honey on top. Serve it with soft goat cheese on the side, or a small bowl of olive oil for dipping. This bread keeps for days. It actually gets better on the 2nd and 3rd day as the flavors deepen and the fruit softens. Wrap it tightly and you can freeze it for weeks. The real message. But here is what I want you to remember more than the recipe. God did not have to use figs. He did not have to give Isaiah a recipe. He could have healed Hezekiah with a single thought, but he chose to work through something he had already created, something growing on a tree in the courtyard, something that had been there the whole time, waiting to be used. And that is the pattern all through Scripture. Moses had a staff. David had a stone. The widow had a jar of oil. The boy had 5 loaves and 2 fish. And Isaiah had a lump of figs. God does not always send the miracle from the sky. Sometimes the miracle is already in your kitchen. Sometimes it has been growing in your garden for years. Sometimes healing has been sitting on your table, and you just did not know what it was for. The fig bread of 2 Kings is not just a recipe. It is a reminder that God designed food with purpose, that He put healing into the earth before we ever needed it, and that sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is take what He has already given you and use it. Make this bread once, just once, and when you taste it, Remember the king who was supposed to die. Remember the prophet who brought the remedy. Remember the God who heard the prayer. And remember that same God is still listening. If this story moved you, share it with someone who needs to hear it. And if you are not subscribed yet, subscribe right now. We tell the stories that most people skip over, the verses that most sermons never reach, the ones that change everything. We will see you in the next one.